Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back. I'm Jasmine.
Welcome back to her too. Yeah, no, I was joking because she was.
Don't have my microphone.
She was
on.
off the screen because she was turning it on.
I don't have a microphone till now.
Anyway, welcome back. Hi friends, I am Avalon.
I'm Sabrina.
I'm Jasmine.
And welcome to our channel, where we've been doing mostly readings.
But we're changing it up.
Book discussion. Well, not really. Are we?
No, books. We're changing it up.
Oh, yeah.
Books.
Well, I mean, not really. Like, we're still, I mean, we've been, well, I mean.
I think she means you guys finished Vampire Diaries, so now
yeah,
our focus will be here.
Yeah, our focus will be here for a little bit, and then we've had some conversations about what we're going to try and start next.
Yep.
While you're on vacation, because we'll have to take a pause when she goes on vacation, but that's not for a while.
Will we have to pause, or will we just binge finish?
We might binge finish.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Let's see. I mean, it's not until like what, August or September. We got some time.
July.
Middle of July?
Yeah.
Really? It's that soon?
Yeah, like July 11th.
Oh. So now they know? Now I know.
Whatever we don't record before July 11th.
We're just gonna be doing some binging. Binge reading. Especially because you're like, I just want to read the entire book. I love this book.
Alright, so recap of last chapter. Honestly, I don't really remember.
I don't either.
But I can say we're at the point where the School of Good and the School of Evil are kind of doing a ceremony. They're about to have a ceremony.
They're about to have a
where
ceremony.
They're gonna meet.
And then she runs away.
And they try to hug, and the people,
No, that was
teachers.
from before.
Who was hugging?
Yeah, that was from before. You're talking about the, yeah. That was the chapter before. You were right, but it's just chapter before. I'm literally looking at it. So you,
They both basically try to escape, and little blonde chick totally found out that nope, she's actually evil because she's selfish and vain, and
yeah,
probably still in denial of it.
She met the witches.
Mm-hmm.
She met the witches.
And Agatha found out some interesting information
about the room.
Yes.
The Gallery of Good.
Yep, and something to do with what they're called from their village.
And we figured out two of the witches, like storyline, very story. I can't think right now.
Oh,
and we couldn't figure out the third one.
To say what it was to the people.
I don't remember.
The three witches.
I don't remember.
The one was with the witch that fell down the hill with the bones. The bones.
The second one was the
Hansel and
Gretel, and I don't remember what the third one was.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't ruin it anyway because I think they tell you later.
All right.
Here we go.
Chapter 5. Boys ruin everything.
Yeah. Yeah. You do.
We've all had some very tough relationships.
We have.
Each school had its own entrance to the Theater of Tales, which was split into two halves. The west doors opened into the side for good students decorated with pink and blue pews, crystal friezes, and glittering bouquets of glass flowers. The east doors opened to the side for evil students, with wrapped wooden benches, carvings of murder and torture, and deadly stalactites dangling from the burnt ceiling.
Oh my.
Wow. Lovely.
As students herded into their halves for the welcoming fairies, the wolves guarded the silver marble aisle between them. Despite their ghastly new uniform, Sophie had no intention of sitting with evil. One look at the good girl's glossy hair, dazzling smiles.
I have no intentions.
I have no intentions
Even though
of
that's
sitting with
what
them.
the school I'm in.
Pink dresses, she knew she had found her sisters. If the fairies wouldn't rescue her, surely her fellow princesses would. With villains shoving her along, she tried to get to the good girl's attention, but they were ignoring her side of the theater. Finally, Sophie battled her way to the aisle and waved her arms and opened her mouth to yell when a hand yanked her onto a rotted bench. Agatha tackled her into a hug. I found the headmaster's tower. It's in a moat and they're guards, but if we can get there, we can...
Agatha finally met up with Sophie?
She just,
they just did.
Hugged her into a...
I was making sure I heard that right, because I wasn't listening all that well.
Hi, nice to meet you. Give me your clothes, said Sophie, staring at Agatha's pink dress.
Strip, baby, strip, strip, strip.
Huh? Quick, it'll solve everything. Sophie, you can't be serious. Sophie, we can't stay here. Exactly, Sophie smiled. I need to be in your school and you need to be in mine. Just like the way we talked, remember? But your father and my mother, my cat, Agatha sputtered. You know why they like it here. They'll turn us into snakes or squirrels or shrubbery, Sophie. We have to get back home. Why? What do I have in Galveston to go back to? Sophie said. Sophie blushed hurt. I guess I should be doing her voice, huh?
Maybe.
You have...
She's turning into a princess already.
I like your nails.
You have... Right, nothing. Now, my dress, please. Agatha folded her arms. Then I will take it myself, Sophie scowled. But right as she grabbed Agatha by her flowered sleeve, something made her stop cold. Sophie listened, ears peaked, and took off like a panther. She slid under... What? Yeah.
Sophie ran.
She slid under wrapped benches, dodged Villain's feet, ducked behind the last pew, and peeked around it. Agatha followed, exasperated. I don't know what's gotten into you. Sophie covered Agatha's mouth and listened to the sounds grow louder. Sounds that made every good girl bolt upright. Sounds that had waited their whole lives to hear. From the hall, the stomp of boots, the clash of steel. The west doors flew open with 60 gorgeous boys in sword fight. Sun-kissed skin peeked through light blue sleeves and stiff collars. Tall navy boots matched high waistcoats and knotted slim ties embroidered with a single gold initial. As the boys playfully crossed blades, their shirts came untucked from their tight beige breeches, revealing slender waists and flashes of muscle.
Can I interject for just a second? I literally just started watching Bridgerton.
I was just thinking that!
So I was totally
thinking that!
Main character guy, so cute.
Woo!
He's not going to be in the second season, though.
I know. It's because of the books, but...
Yeah.
I need to watch this.
Yes.
I didn't think I was going to like Victorian, prissy, elegant
I do.
But it's just enough drama and, like, really nice, classy wit and banter that it made it fine.
Yeah, it's really nice. But I got that image in my head of them at the dance, and they snuck away.
Not the right age group for these people reading the book, most likely,
No.
but...
Don't watch it. Not appropriate.
I mean, it depends on who's actually watching us.
That's true.
Yes, it depends
18
on
and
your
up, it's appropriate. 18 and not, it's not.
Yes.
Ask your
And
parents.
even then, some 18-year-olds are very innocent like I was.
Me too.
Sweat glistened on their glowing faces as they thrust down the aisle.
So many characters.
Boots crackling on marble until swiftly the sword fight climaxed, boys pinning boys against pews. In a last chorus of movement, they drew roses from their shirts and with a shout of "Milady," threw them to the girls who caught their eye.
I wish men so called us miladies.
Milady.
I wish.
I actually prefer when they say doll.
Hey, doll.
Like
the 50s type
Yeah,
of talk.
I love
hey, doll.
that.
I like,
Baby doll.
I think I like
I
Milady.
think it's so cute.
I like doll too, but I think
Just
I
terms of
prefer.
endearment are adorable.
They
or
are.
darling.
Oh, I do like
Darling.
I do like darling.
I do too. I really do. Anyways.
Beatrix found herself with enough roses to plant a garden. Agatha watched all this seasick, but then she saw Sophie's heart in her throat, longing for her own rose. In the decayed pews, the villains booed the princess, brandishing banners that with Never's rule and Ever's stink.
Oh. Can't even rhyme.
Except for the weasel-faced Hort, who crossed his arms sulkily and murmured, "Why do they get their own entrance?" With a bow, the princess blew kisses to the villains and prepared to take their seats, and the west doors suddenly slammed open again, and one more walked in. Hair a halo of celestial gold, eyes blue like a cloudless sky, skin the color of hot desert, and he glistened with a noble sheen, as if his blood ran purer than the rest.
Wait, can you repeat that description?
You're like,
She needs to absorb.
I need to absorb this.
halo of celestial gold, eyes blue as a cloudless sky, skin the color of a hot desert sand. He glistened with a noble sheen, as if his blood ran purer than the rest.
You're thinking of like every beach guy ever, and that's
Right?
right.
Yep.
The real reason ladies go to tan.
The stranger took one look at the frowning, sword-armed boys, pulled his own sword, and grinned. 40 boys came to him at once, but he disarmed each with lightning speed. The swords of his classmates piled up beneath his feet as he flicked them away without inflicting a scratch. Sophie gasped, bewildered. Agatha hoped he'd impale himself. But no such luck, for the boy dismissed each new challenge as quickly as it came. The embroidered T on his blue tie glistening with each dance.
Trips on a sword.
Yes.
Blue tie glistening with each dance of the blade. And when the last had been left swordless and dumbstruck, he sheathed his own sword and shrugged as if he meant to say nothing by it at all. But the boys of good knew what it meant. The princes now had a new king. Even the villains couldn't find a reason to boo. Meanwhile, the good girls had long learned that every true princess finds a prince, so no need to fight each other. But they forgot all this when the golden boy pulled a rose from his shirt. All of them jumped up, waving kerchiefs, jostling like geese at a feeding. The boy smiled and lifted the rose high in the air. Agatha saw Sophie move too late. She ran after her, but Sophie dashed into the aisle, leapt over the pink pews, lunged for the rose, and caught a wolf instead.
That wolf will not give her a break.
As it dragged Sophie back to her side, she locked eyes with the boy, who took in her fair face and her horrid black robes and cocked his head, baffled. Then he saw Agatha ogging in pink. His rose plopped into her open palm and recoiled in shock. As the wolf dumped Sophie with evil and the fairy shoved Agatha with good, the boy gawked wide-eyed, trying to make sense of it all. Then a hand pulled him to his seat. "Hi, I'm Beatrix," she said, and made sure he saw all of her roses. From the evil seats, Sophie tried to get his attention. "Turn yourself into a mirror."
From the evil seats? Like chairs?
Yeah.
No, they were nasty benches.
"Turn yourself into a mirror, then you'll have a chance." Sophie turned to Hester, sitting next to her. "His name is Tedros," her roommate said, "and he's just as stuck-up as his father." Sophie was about to ask who his father was, but then glimpsed his sword, dazzling silver with a hilt of diamonds, a sword with a lion's crest that she knew from storybooks, a sword called Excalibur. "He's King Arthur's son?" Sophie breathed. She studied Tedros' high cheekbones, silky blonde hair, and thick, tender lips.
No. Great.
You done?
Farther away.
His broad shoulders with strong arms filled out the blue shirt, tie loosened, collar undone. He looked so serene and assured, as if he knew destiny was on his side. Gazing at him, Sophie felt her own destiny lock into place. "He's mine."
Awfully presumptuous, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, she felt a hot glare across the aisle. "We're going home," Agatha mouthed clearly. "Welcome to the School of Good and Evil," said the nicer of the two heads. From the seats on opposite sides of the aisle, Sophie and Agatha tracked a massive dog with two heads attached to its single body, pacing across a silver stone stage, cracked down the middle. One head was rabid, drooling, and male with a grisly mane. The other head was cuddly and cute with a weak jaw, scrawny fur, and a sing-song voice. No one was sure if the cuter head was male or female, but whatever it was, it seemed to be in charge. "I'm Pollux, welcoming leader," said the nice head. "And I'm Castor, welcoming leader, assistant, and executioner of punishment for anyone who breaks rules or acts like a donkey," the rabid one boomed.
Why can't you act like a donkey? What did the donkeys do?
All the children looked scared of Castor, even the villains. "Thank you, Castor," said Pollux. "So let me first remind you why we're here. All children are born with souls that are either good or evil. Some souls are purer than others. And some souls are crap," Castor barked. "As I was saying," said Pollux, "some some souls are purer than others, but all souls are fundamentally good or evil. Those who are evil cannot make their souls good, and those who are good cannot make their souls evil. So just because you're good is winning everything doesn't mean you can switch sides, snarled Castor. The good students cheered, Evers, Evers. Evil students retorted, Nevers, Nevers. Before wolves doused Evers with water buckets, fairies cast rainbows over the Nevers, and both sides shut up. Once again, said Pollux tightly, those who are evil cannot be good, and those who are good cannot be evil, no matter how much you're persuaded or punished. Now, sometimes you may feel stirrings of both, but this just means your family tree has branches where good and evil are toxically mixed. But here in the school of good and evil, we will rid you of those stirrings. We will rid you of the confusion, and we will try to make you as pure as possible.
This sounds a lot like
the evil lady in Harry Potter in pink.
No, I was thinking of those camps, reversal camps.
What was the name of the lady in bubblegum pink in Harry Potter?
Umbridge.
Umbridge, yeah. Makes me think of her. A two-headed version of her. Yikes.
Yeah. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde dog. And if you fail, then something so bad will happen that you can't. Something so bad will happen that you cannot say, but it involves that you never being seen again. One more, and it's the muzzle, Pollux yelled.
Oh, I was leaning too far back.
Taking a vacation over there.
Oh no, my back was hurting, that's why.
It's a halftime.
Well, the chairs are in a... She's more left than centered.
Towards me. There we go.
Come closer. Come along.
Okay.
Can we put the blanket over it so it's softer too?
Here we go.
Okay. One more, and it's the muzzle, Pollux yelled. Castor stared at his toes. None of these brilliant students will fail, I'm sure, Pollux smiled at the relieved children. You say that every time, then someone fails, Castor mumbled. Sophie remembered Bane's scared face on the wall and shuddered.
It's my kitty cat.
I know, it's your kitty cat. She had to go to good soon. Every child in the Wellness Woods dreams of being picked to attend our school, but the master chose you, said Pollux, scanning both sides. For he looked into your hearts and saw something very rare, pure good and pure evil. If we're so pure, then why is that? An impish blonde boy with spiky ears stood from evil and pointed to Sophie. A burly boy from good pointed to Agatha. We have one too. Ours smells like flowers, yelled the villain. Ours ate a fairy. Ours smiles too much. Ours farted in our faces. Sophie turned to Agatha and aghast. Every class, we bring 2 readers here from the woods beyond, Pollux declared. They may know our world from our pictures and books, but they know our rules just as well as you. They have the same talents and goals and same potential for glory, and they too have some of the finest students. Like 200 years ago, Castor snorted. They are no different than the rest of you, Pollux said defensively. They look different than the rest of us, cracked an oily, brown-skinned villain. Students from both schools murmured in agreement. Sophie stared at Agatha as if this could be solved with a simple costume change. Do not question the schoolmaster's selections, said Pollux. All of you will respect each other, whether you're good or evil, whether you're from a famous fairy tale family or a failed one. Whether you're a scion...
Wait. They have to respect each other, but isn't the end goal eventually to, like, battle
kill each other?
Or is that not until after graduation?
Oh, it's not until after graduation. We gotta train first. Kumbaya until graduation, then kill each other.
I just needed the clarification.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks.
It's like just really bad rival schools, basically.
Yeah. With the goal to kill each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Whether you're a sired prince or a reader, all of you are chosen to protect the balance between good and evil. For once that balance is compromised, his face darkened, our world will perish. A hush fell over the hall. Agatha grimaced. The last thing she needed was the world perishing while they were still in it. Castor raised his paw. What? Pollux groaned. Why doesn't evil win anymore? Pollux looked like he was about to bite his head off, but it was too late. The villains were rumbling. Yeah, if it's so balanced, yelled Horde, why do we always die? We never get any good weapons, shouted an impish boy. Our henchmen betray us. Our nemesis always have an army. Hester stood. Evil hasn't won in 200 years. Castor tried to control himself with his red face swelling like a balloon. Good is cheating. Nevers leapt up in mutiny, hurling food, shoes, and anything else at hand at horrified Evers. Sophie slunk back down in her seat. Tedros couldn't possibly think she was one of those ugly hooligans, could he? She peeked over the bench and caught him staring right at her. Sophie pinked and then ducked back away. Wolves and fairies pounced on the angry horde around her, but this time rainbows and waters couldn't stop them. The schoolmaster is on their side, Hester screamed. We don't even have a chance, shouted Hort. The Nevers fought past fairies and wolves and charged the Evers pews. It's because you're idiotic apes. The villains looked up dumbly. Now sit down before I give you all a slap, shrieked Pollux. They sat without argument, except Andel's rats, who peeked from their pockets and hissed. Pollux...
Are you okay?
She was pretending to be a rat. She was like...
They said the little rats...
I thought you were
Andel's rats peeked out of her pocket and were like...
Okay, I just thought you were just having like an issue. Yeah, I was like, excuse me.
Okay.
Anyway.
Pollux scowled down at the villains. Maybe if you stopped complaining, you'd produce someone of consequence. But all I hear is excuse after excuse. Have you produced one decent villain since the Great War? One villain capable of defeating their nemesis? No wonder readers come here confused. No wonder they want to be good. Sophie saw kids on both sides of the aisle sneak her sympathetic glances. Students, all of you have one concern here, Pollux said softly. Do the best work you can. The finest of you will become princes and warlocks, knights and witches, queens and sorcerers. Or a troll or a pig if you stink, Castor spat. Students glanced at each other across the aisle, sensing high stakes. So if there are no further interruptions, Pollux said, glowering at his brother, let's review the rules.
Hi, puppy.
Rule 13. Halfway bridge and tower roofs are forbidden to students. Pollux lectured on stage. The gargoyles have orders to kill intruders on sight and have yet to grasp the difference between students and intruders. Sophie found all of this dull, so she tuned it out and stared at Tedros instead.
Hi, puppy.
She had never seen a boy so clean. Boys in Galveston smelled like hogs and slapped around with chapped lips, yellow teeth, and black nails. But Tedros had a heavenly tan skin, dabbed with light stubble, and no hint, no chance, of a blemish. Even the vigorous sword fight, every last gold hair fell into place. When he licked his lips, white teeth gleamed through perfect rows. Sophie watched a trickle of sweat crisscross his cheek and vanish beneath his shirt. What does he smell like? She closed her eyes like fresh wood, and she opened her eyes and saw Beatrix subtly sniffing Tedros' hair. This girl needed to be dealt with immediately.
How dare you sniff his hair? How dare you sniff his hair?
How dare you sniff my man? A headless bird landed on Sophie's dress.
A headless bird?
A headless bird.
A headless bird
landed on
Sophie's dress. That's what it said. A headless bird landed on Sophie's dress.
Oh, okay.
She jumped on her seat, screaming and shaking her tunic until the dead canary plopped on the floor. She recognized the bird with a frown, then noticed the entire hall gasping at her. She gave her best princess curtsy and sat back down. As I was saying, Pollux said testedly. Sophie whipped to Agatha. What? She mouthed. We need to meet, Agatha mouthed back. My clothes! Sophie mouthed and turned back to the stage. Hester and Annabelle looked at the decapitated bird, then at Agatha. Her we like, Annabelle quipped, rat squeaking in agreement.
Look at a princess decapitates a bird and throws it at somebody.
Her we like.
Was it just a dead bird she had in her pocket, or what?
I think it was the decapitated bird that...
Jumper cats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that would make the most sense.
That's right.
Your first year will consist of required courses to prepare you for 3 major tests. The trial by tale, the circus of talents, and the snowball. Castor growled. After the first year, you will be divided into 3 tasks. 1 for villain and hero leaders, 1 for henchmen and helper followers, and 1 for mogriffs, or those who will undergo transfiguration. For the next 2 years, leaders will train to fight their future nemesis, Pollux said. Followers will develop skills to defend their future leaders. Mogriffs will learn to adapt to their new forms and survive in treacherous woods. Finally, after the 3rd year, leaders will be paired with followers, and mogriffs, you will be moved to the endless woods to begin your journeys.
All I could think about when you said nemesis, I was like,
Sophie tried to pay attention, but couldn't...
Let us know if you know that Disney reference, by the way. Put it down below.
Sophie tried to pay attention, but couldn't with Beatrix practically on Tedros's lap. Fuming, Sophie picked up the glittering silver swan crest stitched into the smelly smock. It was the only tolerable thing about it. Now, as we determine your future tracks, we do not give marks here at School for Good and Evil, said Pollux. Instead, for every test or challenge, you will be ranked within your classes so you know exactly where you stand. There are 120 students for each school, and we've divided you into 6 groups of 20 for your classes. After each challenge, you will be ranked 1 to 20. If you are ranked in the top 5 in your group consistently, you will end up in the leader track. If you score mid-range repeatedly, you will end up a follower, and if you consistently below a 13, your talents will be best served as a mogriff, either an animal or a plant.
Wow, even for the princess track.
Yeah.
Rough life, girls.
Hard time. Students in both aisles murmured, already placing bets on who would end up as a tumbo tree. I must add that anyone who receives 3 20s in a row will immediately be failed, said Pollux gravely. As I said, given the exceptional incompetence required to earn 3 straight last-place ranks, I'm confident this rule will not apply to any of you. The nevers in the row threw Sophie a look. When they put me where I belong, you'll feel foolish, won't you? Sophie shot back.
So just not plot twist, calling a hunch. I have a feeling that Jack's beanstalk was actually someone who failed.
I think so.
It might be.
I was on that wave with you. Yes.
I think it was. I think in the room when we go back to last chapter, I'm gonna scoot back. I think it said it was a student. Let's see here.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Master's cat, Cinderella's favorite rat, Jack's sold-off cow, stamped with the names of children who became heroes or sidekicks. No happily ever after. Only then did you see the plaque gleaming on the beanstalk, Holden of Rainbow Gal. Yep. The wretched plant had once been a boy.
All right.
So yes.
That was okay. So we did already know this.
Yes, we did already know this. That that was a boy at one point.
All right. That just absorbed now.
Yes. We're all a little tired.
Yes.
It's been a long week.
Your swan crest will be visible on your heart at all times, Pollux continued. Any attempt to conceal or remove it will likely result in injury or embarrassment, so please refrain. Confused, Sophie watched students on both sides trying to cover the glittering silver swans on their uniforms, mimicking them. She folded the droopy, and down we go.
Down we go. It's
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
There's neighbors. Probably shouldn't say that.
That's
what I was asking.
Should we pause it? I think you can pause it.
I'll be back in 3 seconds.
You'll be okay.
Oh, hey, look at that.
It's motion censored.
Okay, there we go.
We just gotta move ourselves more.
Okay, we need
some more
wiggles.
We gotta wiggle over here. Okay, good to know.
Hey. Answer in the comments below. How many of you know who the Wiggles were?
Oh yeah, if you know the Wiggles. If you know who the Wiggles were, let us know.
Mimicking them, she folded the droopy collar of her tunic to obscure her own swan. Instantly, the crest vanished off her robe and appeared on her chest. Stunned, she ran a finger over the swan, but it was embedded in her skin like a tattoo. She released the fold, and the swan vanished off her skin and reappeared on the robe. Sophie frowned. Perhaps not so tolerable after all. Furthermore, as the School of Tales is in good this year, Nevers will be escorted here for the joint school functions, said Pollux. Otherwise, you must remain in your schools at all times. Why is it in the theater for good? Dot hollered through a mouthful of fudge. Pollux raised his nose. Whoever wins the Circus of Talents gets the theater in their school. And good hasn't lost a circus or trial, by tale, or, now that I think of it, any competition this school has for the last 200 years, Castor harumphed. Villains started rumbling again. But good is so far from evil, Dot huffed. Heaven forbid she has to walk, Sophie mumbled. Dot heard and glowered at her. Sophie cursed herself, the only person who was civil to her, and she had to go ruin it. Pollux ignored the Nevers grumbles and droned on about curfew times, lulling half the room to sleep, including Sabrina.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Rena raised her hand. Are groom rooms open yet? All of the sudden, the Evers looked awake. Well, I was planning on discussing groom rooms next assembly, Pollux said. Is it true that only certain kids get to use them? Asked Millicent. Pollux sighed. Groom rooms in the Good Towers are only available to Evers ranked in the top half of their class in any given day. Rankings will be posted on the groom room doors and throughout the castle. Please do not abuse Almirabel if he's behind on posting them. Now to curfew rules. What are groom rooms? Sophie whispered to Hester. Where the Evers primp green and get their hair done. Or primp preen and get their hair done, Hester shuddered. Sophie sprang up. Do we have groom rooms? Pollux pursed her lips. Nevers have dorm rooms, dear. Nevers have dorm rooms, dear. Where do we get our hair done? Sophie beamed. Where you're beaten and tortured, Pollux said. Sophie sat down. Now curfew will occur at precisely. How do you become class captain? Hester asked. The question was presumptuous, had a presumptuous tone behind it, and instantly made her unpopular on both sides of the aisle. If you flunk curfew inspections, don't blame me, Pollux groaned. All right. After the trial by tale, the top-ranked students in each school will be named class captain. These two students will have special privileges, including private study with select faculty, field trips into the Endless Woods, and a chance to train with the renowned heroes and villains. As you know, our captains have gone on some the greatest legends in the Endless Woods.
We need to do some wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble. We need to do some of that.
While both sides buzzed, Sophie gritted her teeth. She knew as she could get to the right school, she would not only be the captain for good, she'd end up being more famous than Snow White. This year, you will have 6 required courses in your individual schools, Pollux went on. The 7th class, Surviving Fairy Tales, will include both good and evil and take place in the Blue Forest beyond the schools. Please note, both beautification and etiquette are for good girls only, while good boys will have grooming and chivalry instead. Agatha woke from her stupor. If she didn't have enough reasons to escape, the thought of beautification class was the last straw. They had to get out of here tonight. She turned to the adorable girl next to her with narrow brown eyes and short black hair, fixing her lipstick in her pocket mirror. Mind if I borrow your lipstick? Agatha asked. The girl took one look at Agatha's ashy, cracked lips and thrust it at her. Keep it.
Keep it.
Breakfast and supper will take place in the school supper halls, but you'll eat together in the clearing, Castor grunted. Oh, I guess it should be more like, breakfast and supper will take place in the school supper halls. But you'll have to eat lunch together in the clearing, Castor grunted. That is, if you're mature enough to handle the privilege. Sophie felt her heart race. If the schools ate their lunches together tomorrow, would her first chance to talk to Tedros, what would she say to him? And how would she get rid of that ghastly Beatrix? The endless woods beyond the school gates are barred to first-year students, said Pollux. And though that rule may fall on deaf ears for the adventurous of you, let me remind you that the most important rule of all, one that will cost you your lives if you fail to obey. Sophie snapped to attention. Never go into the woods after dark, said Pollux. His cuddly smile returned. You may return to your schools. Supper's at 7 o'clock sharp. As Sophie rose with the Nevers, mentally rehearsing her lunch meeting with Tedros, a voice ripped through the chatter. How do we see the schoolmaster? The school dead silent. Students turned shell-shocked. Agatha stood alone in an aisle, glared up at Castor and Pollux. The twin-headed dog jumped off the stage and landed a foot from her, splashing her with drool. Both heads glared into Agatha's eyes, wearing the same ferocious expression.
Wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble.
It wasn't clear who was who. You don't, they growled. As fairies whisked flailing Agatha to the east door, she passed Sophie for an instant, just long enough to thrust out a rose petal marred by a lipstick message. Bridge, 9 p.m. But Sophie never saw it. Her eyes were locked on Tedros, a hunter stalking its prey, until she was shoved from the hall by villains. Right then and there, the problem smashed Agatha in the face, the one that had plagued them all along. For as the two girls were pulled to their opposing towers, their opposing desires couldn't be more clear. Agatha wanted her only friend back, but her friend wasn't enough for Sophie. Sophie had always wanted more. Sophie wanted a prince. And that is why boys ruin everything.
Boys.
Boys.
Alright, I think we should move inside for the next chapter, just because.
Yeah, I know. Well,
It's like 9 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
What predictions do you guys have?
I think she's gonna run in with that guy again.
Well, I'm guessing Agatha's gonna try and go show up at the bridge, and Sophie won't be there, or she already realizes Sophie never saw the note.
Right.
So. So Agatha just realized that the girl basically was like more interested in the prince than trying to go home together.
I think she kind of knew that. It was just like
She was
really
her
trying.
nature.
Yeah.
Hoping that maybe it would change.
Because she'd already said multiple times that she didn't want to go home.
She was hoping she could convince her. Yeah, sometimes you have those stubborn friends you gotta convince.
Yes. Yep.
But, yeah, I mean...
I think that's really the big prediction.
Sophie's evil side is definitely peeking through and getting more and more defined.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
So...
Yeah, she kind of, her personality reminds me of the Evil Queen.
I would
she's
agree.
very,
greed,
narcissistic and...
Me.
Yep.
Yeah, I must be the most beautiful. That's my prince. Nobody else's. Yeah, that's...
Territorial.
That's
for sure.
Kind of what she reminds me of.
Agreed. I agree.
So do we think they actually take after recognizable pre-existing fairy tale characters, or are they completely new characters that the author designed to put into the
I cannot comment on this.
I know. I was asking her.
I think they're already existing fairy tales. If that's what I think.
I don't either way. I'm just curious.
What do you think?
I actually don't think I don't really have a presumption on it. I'm just curious to see which way it goes. Because from a author perspective, sometimes it's fun to
create your own.
Give a twist to something pre-existing, and sometimes it's nice to add your complete own spice to it, you know? So, don't know. I mean, the names that they have aren't any that we recognize. So,
but remember, their names change once they get put into
exactly. So,
who knows?
No idea.
I like where it's going so far.
It definitely reminds me of Wicked.
Absolutely. I was thinking that. I like it. Like Glenda and I forget her name. Alphaba. Were friends. They were friends even through school, and then.
And
they just
Alphaba
blossomed
didn't
in their
even
way.
do the evil thing. I think Glenda did, and I think she took the blame for it. If I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
Yeah. She took the blame for Glenda because she's like, that's my best friend. I don't want you going down. Like,
and
it's
she
easier
already
for
had
me.
the bad
rep.
So
It'd be easier for her to take the blame. I think this is similar.
Look to the western sky.
Yeah, I think this relationship is similar to that.
And then she got a house thrown on her.
Yes.
Poor witch.
She did.
Anyway.
Well, drift times. We hope you all have a nice, lovely evening, and until next chapter.
We will see you then. Bye, guys.